UIMenu is a visual prefab management system inside Doozy UI. It helps you add in a visual manner prefabs for the UI directly in your scene. This video will show you how it works and how to do it. All right, we're inside Unity, and let's start by opening the UI menu. Out of the box, you have a lot of options available. You have components, and we added a lot of them. These are all prefabs, and we created previews for them, so it's easier to identify and understand what's there. So you have components, containers, content, and two more, layout and miscellaneous. Components are your interactables, your buttons, toggles, switches, sliders, and so on. Containers are your panels. They contain things. They show and they hide. It's the UI container and the UI view for now, but you can also add other things. Content, we consider anything that is not interactable nor a container content. This will be your text, so your titles, your descriptions, your images, layouts, and so on. For layouts, what you see here are grid, horizontal, radial, and vertical. Only the radial is from Doozy, the other ones are native to Unity. And miscellaneous, this is just a flow controller for Node. All right, in order to use it, the first thing you do is you open it and you select whatever you want to add. I'm gonna add a flex button. I'm just gonna click. And because I didn't have a canvas selected or anything, it just created one for me. All right, I'm gonna close it and I'm gonna set up the scene so we can start working with it. In the event system, I'm gonna enable the new input system, otherwise we're gonna get an error. And in the canvas, I would like to make it screen space camera as the render mode and link the camera. And also I'd like to change the scale. Let's zoom on it. And I think this is a good scale for a presentation. And here we have our button that we added from our UI menu. If I delete this and let's select the canvas, let's go to UI menu and let's add, let's say, an icon button. And there you go. Now we have a heart right here. If we enter play mode, of course, this is a button, it will work. So how does it work? How does it all work? Well, basically you have a prefab, you connect it to a UI menu item, and this is an asset. And this UI menu item is displayed in the UI menu window. So there are three things that you need: a prefab, a connection, and this is the UI menu item, and of course the window. One more thing to note is that the UI menu also creates a context menu for you. So basically whatever you add there, you can also access it here. So if I right click and I select Doozy, you'll notice that let's add a flex button large. I can also add it like this. It's not that intuitive, but this is a fast way of doing it. All right. So how this button became to work, to be here? How did we create it? Well, the entire UI menu, the one that you are seeing here, can be found under extras. It's not inside Doozy UI because you do not need it under editor or runtime. It's useless. So if you want to remove it altogether, you simply delete the extras and it's gone. And here we have some prefabs. So for this particular one, so let's select the flex button. I'm gonna go to component, buttons. They are just organized this way. You can have your prefabs wherever you want in your project. This is how it works. And here we have a flex button large, and this is our prefab. Of course, you can drag and drop it here. It's the same thing. Of course, this is a linked, not a clone, what we created here. But you wouldn't have a preview. And Unity is unable to create a preview because you have several things combined. It needs to render them somehow and get an image, and yeah, it just won't work. All right, some functionalities for the UI menu. Well, one of the most important things is the search. Let's say I want a left arrow. So I'm just going to write left, and whatever it finds left in a tag, a name, a category, whatever, it will show here. Let's say I want to add a horizontal, and here I have a horizontal layout. I'm just gonna add it here, and we have a horizontal layout group right here. Let's center it like that. All right. So basically, this is how it works. So let's say now I want to add some icon button. Let's say icon, and let's add some flex icon button. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there you go. Now let's say 24. Now you have a set of buttons that are ready to go. So let's enter play mode. Let's check them out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and of course I can also move from one to the other. All right. Let's continue. So let's say I want to add an item to the UI menu. All right. How can I do that? Well, let's create something so we can add it. Let's create an image, and this will be a red square. All right. Let's make it red so it is red. And let's also add a text. Actually, no. Let's leave it a red square. Now I need to create a prefab. Let's create a folder just so we don't. So my project. I'm going to open it, and I'm going to create a prefab out of this. All right. Let's remove it from here. Now, in order to add it to the UI menu, you simply need a UI menu item asset. This is the connection between the prefab and the UI menu. All right. So right click, create, Doozy UI menu, menu item. I'm going to link the prefab here. Then I want to select where I want to put it. So like I said, the prefab type is set by default to component. I'm going to say custom, and I'm going to say special because it's something special. And here I'm going to say squares. Special squares. And I'm going to save. It's going to rename this menu item special squares red square. And if we open the UI menu, there you go. You have a special squares, and it doesn't have a preview yet. That's it. And if I click here, I can add my red square. Let's also add a vertical layout. All right. And let's select red. So I would like to add it here. So let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. So 16. Let's delete 1. All right. So now we have our squares. That's it. It's very easy. These are clones. You will say, hey, this is all nice and all, but I would like to have linked prefabs. How can I do that? Well, that's very easy. Tools, Doozy UI menu. There's a setting here. It's clone or link. This is linked prefab. I'm going to select link. I'm going to remove these. And I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are linked. Let's add 2 that are clones, 2 clones. So 1 clone, second clone, and let's add 2 links. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that if you change something in your prefab, the linked ones will get the update, while the clones, because they are copies, will not get it. So if we go to the prefab and we change the color to green, for whatever reason, the first ones that were copies didn't change, while the linked ones did. That's it. And you say, yeah, but we're a big team and I want these to always be linked. I do not want to use clones. What if they forget and they select clone, and instead of adding links, they add clones and everything gets messed up? You can prevent that. And I'm going to show you how. In the UI menu item, there's an instantiation mode that you can set. By default, it's set to clone, but it's not enforced. There's a lock here that can lock it into place. And now that I enabled it, I'm gonna refresh this. You'll also see a lock here and it says instantiate mode locked in clone mode, right? So I'm gonna set this to default, and whatever I do now, these are clones. If I set it to link, these are clones again. So it doesn't matter. It will always create clones. But you said that I'm gonna create links. Well, just change it. So you come here and you say, I want always to create links for this prefab. I'm gonna save. And now, even though this is set to clone, it will create only links and you're safe. Let's also update the square. Let's make it red. All right. And let's go back. And because there are links, everything gets updated and it's wonderful and nice. But I would like to have a preview. So Unity cannot show a preview of this prefab because it's not a graphical asset. So you need to have a way to create a preview. Well, you do, and I assume that you are a designer, so you should know your basics around editing software. So we're gonna make a screenshot of your prefab, put it into into an image editing software, remove the background, and just add it back in Unity and use that. It's that easy. So I'm gonna leave only one. Let me show you how the ones that we used work. So you will notice that we have tabs layout, for example. So these are container tab layouts. Let me also find them so I can show them to you. So containers, tab layouts. This is how they look in Unity. You have no idea of their design. So even if I make this bigger, you have no idea what's inside. So you have to drag. So let's say left, you have to drag it here in order to preview it. Oh, it's this one. All right. So let's say you want another one, top. Again, you have to add it here. Oh, it's this one. So if you use the UI menu, you simply say, okay, I would like the top one. There you go. And it's exactly what you see here is what you get. All right. So how can we see this red square? How can we add a preview here? Well, like I said, for our particular things, let's say for the tab layouts, we have the UI menu, previews, and we have some screenshots. And this is how they look. All right. So this is the things that you're seeing here. We have to create the previews for them. Some are animated like this one. And this is a set of textures, but most of the time a static thing will be enough. All right, so how do we create it? Let's go back to the newly created thing. We need to add something here. If I were to add, let's say, this image without colorize in this case, and let's refresh, I would see this image, but this isn't representative for this red square. This can be anything, by the way. I want that red square, and let's also add something inside of it so we can make it, we can personalize it. So let's add another image. Let's say 50 by 50, and let's say 45 degrees. Let's make it black, and let's make it with transparency, something like that. All right. So this is my special prefab. I would like to see that in my UI menu. All right. So how can I do that? Well, I'm going to use ShareX. This is a free snipping tool. You can use whatever you want. And I'm going to take a screenshot of that. So I'm going to take it like that. I'm going to put it in memory. And now we need a image software. All right. So I'm gonna use Photoshop, right? And I'll say File, New. I'm gonna get it from clipboard. I'm gonna paste it here. I'm gonna use the magic wand to remove everything from around it. Let's use a trim. And let's see how big it is. So this is 82. Let's go to 120. Image, canvas size. I'm just making it nice. Basically, I want 128 by 128. This will be my preview. And that's it. I'm going to export this as a PNG. Export as a PNG. So I'm going to call it, I don't know, red square. All right, let's save. And let's come here. So it's on my desktop. I'm just going to bring it right here inside Unity. And here, where is my menu item? I'm going to change this with red square. Save. And let's open the UI menu. And there you go. Now you have it like this. A few notes. The red square will be visible for runtime, and you may not want to have it there. So you change the texture type to editor GUI and legacy GUI. And also I recommend using bitmaps. This makes everything a bit smoother when it's downsized, because this is 64 by 64 square. So let's apply. And I'm gonna also show you, let's say with UI Toolkit, I'm gonna show you the size of this, just so you know if you wanna create anything here. So this is 64 by 64, just in case you were wondering. And I made it double the size. You can even go 265 by 256 by 256. Yeah, as a size, and this will work. So yeah, this is how you add your custom things. There are a few other things to add. So let's say you want to add a info. So I'm say special. Actually, I'm gonna say image. I'm gonna save, and this info tag will be added right here. Let's refresh, and this is where you write image. If I say cat, save again, it will say cat. All right, and if I want to search for cat, oh, by the way, the info tag isn't a search term. If you want to add it as a search term, yeah, I forgot about that. You need to add it here. So if I say here cat, save, although this is the cat, this will appear. All right. The last thing are the tags. So basically, it doesn't matter what you name your thing, but let's say you want to see this when you want to use this item for your shop, for example. And whenever you type shop in the UI menu, you want to see all the elements that are used in your shop. So I'm going to change this. I'm going to add one more. I'm going to say shop as a tag. Let's just change this to nothing, basically. And let's see if we have anything set to shop. So shop, and we have an add to cart bag, and red square. Let's add a few more. All right, so let's say I want to define some of the things inside here. UI menu. Let's say I want this flex button to also appear in the shop. So I'm going to save. I would also like a tab system. So where do we have it? Simple radio, tab, actually tab layout. There we go. So I'm going to use this one with left, and I'm going to say this will be my shop. And I'm going to save. And what else would we want? let's say another product card. So these product cards will have the same thing. So I'm going to say shop, save, and one more product card with shop. So basically, I just tagged these things with shop. So now, if you go to the UI menu and you write here shop, all the things that you tagged are available. So you can add your red square right here. You can add a product, another product card, an add to cart, and a flex button. And these are the elements that you marked as being for the shop. But they have nothing to do one with the other. So this is the power of this system. One more thing, I don't think that I've shown you. You can add them via a context menu, special, squares, red square. You can add it like that, and it will use the default settings. So let me show you what I'm talking about. All right, let's come back here. This is the last thing, by the way. Not here, in my project. All right, so here, if you remember, we set instantiate mode to link. This is the default instantiation mode. So and let's unlock it. If I use the context menu, did I save? Let's save. If I use the context menu, it will always use the one defined here. So Doozy, special, red square. And you'll notice that this is a link, all right? If I set this to clone and save, of course. Now, when I use the context menu, oh, come on. Sorry. I'm going to use the context menu and I'm going to say this is a clone. So basically, whatever you set there is what the context menu will use. The UI menu has the options, gives you the option to select which one if it's not locked. So let's go to the UI menu. Let's come here. And right now it's set to default. Right here. Oh, we cannot see from my head. Let me move my head. All right. So you will see right here that it's set to default. The default setting was clone. So I expect to see a clone here. And it is a clone. But here I can override it because it's not locked. I do not see a lock here. And now when we add it, it's a link. Yeah. So that's pretty much how this works. And that's it for the UI menu. It's very powerful. You can link whatever you want here, and it's huge. You have a lot of options. If you do not like them, you can delete them, of course. But they should be at least enough for you to create your basic UI and allow you to create your own stuff for your projects. All right, I hope I was clear enough. Oh, one more thing. Let's say you want a animation. You will like this one. Let's say you want to add an animated thing right here. How can you do that? Well, you need a micro animation. A micro animation is a set of PNGs that form an animation and are played in repeat. I'm gonna lock this. And I'm going to use a micro animation of a dancer from one of our, so let's say dancer 2, drag and drop it here. And you will notice that now you have a guy that dances as your preview. So let's save. This is just something that it's not really that useful, but it's funny. And this is your dancer. Yeah. If you want to change it into, let's say, something else, I think we should have some more micro animations in extras, micro animations, logos. We have, let's use the reactor logo. Let's save. Let's reload. And now you have the reactor logo here. So this is how this basically works. Let me show you what is this. So these are just some images that are animated. All right, this is a micro animation. All right, that's it for the UI menu. I hope you like the presentation and how I structured it to help you understand each section of it. Remember to save, remember to refresh, and you can basically create an entire system that is simple point and click, and it will just work. All right, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.